Hey, folks, welcome to Shooting Up North. I'm your host, Lewis Carlin. We're here right here on the Alliance Pro Wrestling Network. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're watching for the first time, please consider hitting that subscribe button. If you want to follow me on social media, I'm on Twitter at Shooting Up North, Instagram at Alliance PW Network, and feel free to join our Facebook group, the Alliance Pro Wrestling Network. Okay, so we have a few things to talk about here. Thank you again for joining me on this live stream. We have first, a lot of people in AEW don't want CM Punk to return. A lot of talents in AEW do not want CM Punk to return. Says CM Punk being brought back might not be a popular decision amongst talents in AEW. Reading this from Cultaholic, it says following initial uncertainty, CM Punk's future with All Elite Wrestling became a little clearer today after reports noted the two-time AEW World Champion had been suspended. So CM Punk was suspended following his involvement in a backstage fight after Sunday's All Out pay-per-view. Now, here's a question that I'm curious about. It says he's suspended, but he's already out for 8 months with an injury. So does this suspension is this a suspension effective immediately? And once the injury is done, he could come back, or does this suspension begin after he's all healed up from the injury? Because he's out for 8 months, torn tricep. So I don't know. It says here's a report on him being suspended. Let me see if it indicates here. Because if he's suspended and it starts now, and he's injured anyway. He was going to be anyway to because of the injury, so the suspension really doesn't mean anything. I don't want to look. Torn muscle will be out of action for 8 months. It just says he's been suspended, so it doesn't indicate. It doesn't indicate whether or not he's been suspended. Is the suspension begins after the injury, or if the suspension begins now? But nonetheless, so let's move on. It says the CM Punk is out of action for 8 months, as I mentioned, due to serious arm injury he suffered while hitting a suicide dive against John Moxley at All Out. It says if CM Punk does ultimately return to AEW, it seemingly wouldn't be a popular decision. Would not be a popular decision with the locker room, as Dave Meltzer reported on Wrestling Observer Radio, that there are a lot of talent that don't want CM Punk back, and understandably so. Understandably so. It says some people don't want Punk to return because of his involvement in the fight, while others took issue with the then AEW World Champion's comments during his post All Out press conference. Furthermore, Meltzer noted Punk was already a divisive figure, saying there was already a lot of divisiveness when it came to Punk. He was rubbing a lot of people the wrong way. From Punk's standpoint, I know that his feelings, he was trying to teach these guys how to draw money, how to do stuff. He's trying to give them good advice. He was very frustrated that these people who were listening, there were people who weren't listening. Says Punk garnered major heat in AEW following his comments at the post All Out press conference, during which he took aim at AEW's executive vice presidents, of course, Kenny Omega, Young Bucks, Hangman Page, and Cole Cabana. The Young Bucks, Kenny Omega went to Punk's locker room after the press conference, and things just exploded. Things just exploded, as we know. The big fight broke out. Ace Steel bit. Ace Steel, a grown man, decided to bite Kenny Omega, and I read that he pulled his hair too. So grown man Ace Steel decided to bite Kenny Omega. I still think that's hilarious. I mean, you're in a fight. You're gonna grab somebody, just bite them. He's gonna bite Kenny Omega. He's gonna pull his hair. Ace Steel apparently pulled Kenny Omega's hair. I don't want to. I was laughing at this the other day, but every time I read this, it's funny how it says Ace Steel on the side of Punk bit Kenny Omega, and then he picked up a chair and he threw it at Nick Jackson. I also read that he started pulling on the hair of Kenny Omega, and maybe he started slapping him too. A little slap fight. But anyway, but nonetheless, a lot of talents don't want CM Punk back. It's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be let go. Interesting when the suspension starts again. If the suspension starts now and then he comes back after the injury after 8 months, the suspension is nothing. It means nothing unless he's suspended. At least he's not getting paid. Unless he's not getting. So I don't know. I would wait for the injury. I would suspend him now, and when he's completely healed, I would suspend him for another 6 months. That's what I would do. Actually, I would do something else. I got a podcast coming out shortly. I'm going to record whether or not I feel Tony Khan should actually outright release CM Punk. So I'm not gonna give my answer on that there. I'm gonna do in my separate podcast on that. So that's CM Punk. A lot of people don't want him to return to AEW, and understandably so. Understandably so. So we have an update on Bobby Fish. Bobby Fish also kind of pissed off at CM Punk. Bobby Fish challenged him to a kickboxing fight or something, or MMA fight. I'm sure Bobby Fish would do really well. I think he would just destroy just destroy CM. I could beat CM Punk in an MMA fight. No, I probably can't, but maybe I can. Maybe I can. If I get a good left hook into the jaw, I probably could knock out CM Punk. He's injury prone anyway. So, but anyway, Bobby Fish. So more on Bobby Fish leaving AEW. Getting to some Fightful. Said we learned more about Bobby Fish leaving All Elite Wrestling. Bobby Fish and AEW had entered discussions about possibly renewing his deal, and there was said to be some interest on both sides and continuing the relationship. However, the sides couldn't come to terms financially and decided to part ways. We're told that AEW thought it was somewhat amicable until Fish's tweets about Punk AEW. Fish remains friendly with many in the company. We're told that there wasn't much by the way of creative plans for him once Kyle O'Reilly's entry happened. We have not heard of WWE reaching out to Bobby Fish, and he hasn't been mentioned creatively from what we've learned thus far. As highlighted after he left, there was also issues between Fish and CM Punk. As I mentioned, he challenges CM Punk to a fight. We're told this did not have any bearing on his contract expiring. Fish had told many that he didn't appreciate Punk's attitude after the match they had in October of 2021. So, and like I said, Bobby Fish challenging CM Punk to an actual fight, like a kickboxing fight or an MMA fight or a bare knuckle brawl in the back alley of a in the back alley of a Walmart or a Costco, and they're gonna set up a set up a little pit, Bobby Fish and CM Punk in the back alley of behind the garbage bins of a Costco. It's gonna be on pay-per-view. It's gonna be promoted. Gonna be promoted by Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon's gonna promote it. Big brawl. Bobby Fish, CM Punk, Walmart, back alley. Shane McMahon Promotions. Okay. Anyway, so that's the latest on Bobby Fish. Him leaving AEW. I mean, if there's no interest from WWE, I thought maybe he would go back to WWE, work in the Performance Center as a coach. But if there's no interest, WWE doesn't have interest. AEW, they can't come to an agreement. Maybe Scott D'Amore can give him a phone call, and maybe we get a year or two of Bobby Fish in Impact Wrestling. Who knows? Maybe that could happen, or New Japan Pro Wrestling, or MLW. I'm sure Bobby Fish will land somewhere very, very soon. Okay, so we're gonna leave it at that. We got a lot more podcasts coming up. I'm gonna record another one shortly. Gonna be watching the news as well. Don't forget Shane Taylor tonight debuting on Impact Wrestling. A little disappointed in the debut. I know the results. A lot of websites are making a big deal about it, but I'm a little disappointed how it was handled. But I'm gonna watch anyway. It's not on Impact. It's on before the Impact, so it's not on the actual show. And he's taking on Crazy Steve. And yeah, I'll watch it. I mean, Shane Taylor should definitely be signed by Impact Wrestling long term, but that's for another podcast. So we're gonna leave it at that for now. Thanks for joining me on this live stream. Anything breaks, of course, I'll be back. I got another podcast I'm gonna be working on very soon. I'm gonna release as well. Got some interviews coming up over the next week or two. I'm looking forward to that. But until I'm back, thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye, and stay safe, everyone. So long. Bye bye.